This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Straight off the bat, it was the Wildcats on debut, Shane.
How good. They were impressive, and they're going to be a team to be reckoned with this season. Not so good in the second game, but how good was Henschel in that second game, mate?
Henschel, only person on debut to lead the game in scoring, and only the second person under 20 to score 20 points on debut. Joe Ingles did it with you for the Dragons.
Yeah, he's going to have a great career, but what about Usher in game one? Just
35.
He carried that team. Another exciting piece when you look at Cotton and Pinder. They really are going to continue to grow, and they'll learn from their loss against South East Melbourne on Sunday.
Who would have thought that two players other than Alexander Sarr would be the feature, or Bryce Cotton? Moving into Melbourne, though, in the throwdown, it was United getting it done, but massive bounce back from the Phoenix.
Well, I picked South East Melbourne, but that was when I thought Brown was going to play, and he's a massive piece to that team. And credit to the Melbourne United. They just came out. They were workmanlike. Porty was unbelievable. Daly is on a mission right now. He looks so fit and strong, shooting the ball probably better than we've ever seen him shoot it. And Luke Travis, like if you want to play any position, you want to be a point guard or a four-man. And he's just got the mobility as a four-man to be able to defend multiple positions. He can pass. He gets on the boards. He's finding ways to be able to score as well. But both those teams are going to be in it at the end, I think.
Significant sign of depth when you mentioned three names before you get to Chris Golding. But you did say last week the title goes through Sydney.
Well, I mean, it has to, just because they've won the last two championships, and they were good against the Hawks. The Hawks were disappointing. We'll talk more about that. But Valentine was the one. How good was he? What I saw of him, you know, in the brief sort of time I saw him in the preseason, didn't look great, but 8 points, 7 rebounds, 10 dimes, played with a real poise coming off the bench. Now, he was good. And Galloway, what a superstar he's going to continue to grow to be on this team. Geez, they play at a fast pace, but they look good, unselfish.
And the second unit too, quite noise, 6 of 8 triples, got it done for them. Just irrational confidence there, getting it done.
Yep.
You did mention, though, the Illawarra Hawks. And the Adelaide 36 is the other team you want to bring up at the other end of the spectrum.
Well, a lot of people were talking about the Hawks. And have a look at this ladder, by the way. Let me get this off my chest. How have Brisbane played one game and they're sitting on top? Come on, NBL. There's teams that have won 2 games. They're not even on top. All right, let me let that go. Look down the bottom. We look at the Illawarra Hawks. People are talking about them being a top 4 team, but they're kidding themselves right now if they're thinking that. And I'll tell you another thing. I like Jacob Jackomas, really good coach, good guy. You can't play 12 players. You cannot play 12 players. Just it doesn't work for a simple reason. If I'm the best player, if I'm leading the team in scoring, which I have done, I don't want to play 25 minutes a game. I want to play more time. I want to get into the flow of it. They look like they're in a rush. And if I'm the 12th man, which I have been, I don't want to play 2 minutes. Because I'm looking at the coach saying, what do you want me to do in 2 minutes? So I feel like no one wins in that situation. They look like they were hurried. They look like they weren't together. Too many turnovers, 18 turnovers, shot 38%. They'll get better, but they weren't good. And I haven't even mentioned Adelaide yet. I've written Adelaide off. I had hopes for the Hawks.
The Hawks definitely more talent than last year. Let's see how they adjust this week. Moving to WNBA, it's the defending champs, the Aces, taking on the super team, the Liberty. Brianna Stewart behind the wheel there. Big final series coming up.
It's going to be huge. Obviously, you've already picked New York. They're going to win it.
I think that if a team's going to beat the Aces, it is New York. But
well, they're the only team in the final, mate. Of course, no one else can beat them. What are you talking about?
There were 2 others still in it last week. When
Talk
we said
about
that.
Sit on the fence. Come on,
Kayla
mate.
George out there getting it done for the Aces. A pretty tough to beat a team stacked with talent there in the Aces.
A little bit like what we said about the Kings. It's theirs because they're the reigning champs. But there's no doubt with Brianna Stewart that they have some serious talent. I'm still going to stick with Vegas.
It'll be a heck of a show to watch. And while we're in America, I know this is the 6th man in the starting 5, but how about the Aussies in the NBA pre-season starting up? New Aussies over there, and pretty exciting. Shane, in your day when you were in the NBA, it was an enormous deal, and now it's almost expected. We're just talking about talent. Henschel came out this week and we're like, oh, he'll play the NBA one day. It's just expected the Aussie talent are going to make their way over there.
We see these best kids coming out of the centre of excellence and we're like, yep, we'll be in the NBA. It's just a matter of time. And you're right. Back in the black and white days, I didn't even have any goals of playing in the NBA because it wasn't achievable. Only Luke Longley had done it. So great to see. I've got guys who are going to, big steps moving forward. Obviously, Josh Giddey's leading the way. He's the superstar for us, and I really love watching his team play OKC.
We're going to find our groove, we're going to find our rhythm. And it all starts.
How about the yak from Gak? A colder Gak comes and throws it down for cans.
Did you practice that, or was that just ad lib?
This just comes out when I see this. That's not bad with the left hand. Check out this angle.
Your commentary is just as good.
Down. I do what I can. How about Tyler with some French cuisine cook? Throwing it down on Alexander Sarr.
What about the pass from Brown, mate? How about we give him a little bit of love for the dime as well?
How about the next star Sarr? Just let him know, hey man, you want to come bring it in? Let's do it again next time.
I'm going to be a lottery pick if you don't mind. Is what he's got to say.
Sarr just lets him know what he thinks about it. And how about this one? Bryce Cotton with it on a thread, the no-look dime to Henschel on debut.
Yeah, great pass. And this young kid's going to be a superstar. We've spoken about it. 29 points, if you don't mind.
Talking about going to the NBA, he might see Alexander Sarr and Henschel's teammates heading towards the draft. Which one do you like best, Matt Logue? Was it Cook, Gak, or Bryce Cotton with the no-look dime?
No, Cook. And I just love the confrontation, and I love the fact that afterwards Sarr and really both just said, oh, well, we want more of that. I'm glad he got fired up, mate. The NBL needs more of that.
Cook,
Gak.
The yak from Gak.
That was great.
Which one do you like best? Vote on one of the three out there, folks. Or if we miss one, particularly I like Tom Abercrombie just coming out in his 400th opening play with the alley-oop. If we miss one, let us know about it. Or vote for your favourite of the three. That is the Hoops Highlights, care of Boost Mobile. First round of NBL Supercoach is done and dusted. Over 20,000 people around the country getting involved. And the big question for week 2, and I'm going to say it down the barrel right here. If you are in the creek, if you started with Mitch Creek, stay in the creek and roll with him. He's going to come good. He was not quite at his peak this round. You might lose a little bit of cash, but stay with him. If you're not already on Mitch Creek, maybe look elsewhere as a Denzel Valentine or someone else. Shane Hill, how did you go round 1?
365, and I'm a rookie, and I've already traded Mitch Creek. So thanks for the advice, mate. Where were you when I was putting my team together? Not because I don't think he'll do great, and I think he'll have a big weekend this weekend because he's playing against two fast-paced teams. But I found a little bit of value with a couple of other guys. Now, I'm not going to tell you now.
Yeah, that's just the leaderboard, by the way. 454 is the lead. My score there, 434. So I'm just outside the top 100, but you're not too far behind either. Well done to those four there tied in the lead on 454.
I reckon I found a bit of value, but Travers, he was great, wasn't he? He was good for me. He does everything.
Very good. If you got your Melbourne United players right to start, that was the key round.
I'll be staying with him and Galloway off the bench. Jeez, what a pop he had.
Both Galloway's pretty good. Jalen for Sydney, but Kyron got some run for Adelaide too.
Yeah, well, he's actually starting for me this week. I've brought him into the starting lineup and I've put somebody to the bench with a higher ranking, but only one game, so better fire up.
Hot tips here. That's the thing. Follow your schedule. If you've got 2 games this week, make sure you put him in. There's your top scorers over the first round, but those top 5, they all had 2 games. Will Cummings the only one of those with 2 games this round. So do you park those United players on the bench? Cotton, do you put him on the bench, or do you trade them out to try and get some players with 2 games? You're looking at Tasmania, Doyle, McVeigh, Sydney have got Valentine getting it done. You've mentioned Jalen Galloway already. Big decisions to be made ahead of round 2.
I was head-to-head with D. Rucker. And D-Ruck, he's supposed to be an expert. He's talking about being an expert. For round 1 for him.
D-Ruck coming out shortly. I got it done against Joe Healy. Big shout out Joe Healy in the States. We look forward to having her back here in the chair soon as well. But that's Supercoach looking forward to round 2. Are you looking at high scorers or are you looking at cash accumulation? Maybe some rookies in there. Menenga, Henschel, a couple to watch. They're the decisions to make ahead of round 2. Fresh off a round 1 Supercoach loss to the Hammer, Derek Rucker joins us for points made. After a massive week in the NBA, Lillard is a Buck and Holiday is a Celtic.
Big time moves. And Nathan, thank you for bringing up that Supercoach loss. Sometimes you got to build your friends up, and that's what I did in round 1. Don't worry, square up. I'll be able to handle my business against the Hammer. But anyway, back to the NBA. Look, big time trade. I think a lot of people have been going back and forth about who won it. I was undecided, but after all of the washout, Hammer, I think it's no contest. Milwaukee are clearly the better team. They've come out better defensively. They'll be able to cover for the purported weaknesses in Dame Lillard's defensive game. I don't think that's really going to be an issue. They have so much firepower offensively, and if you look at their first six, Giannis, Dame, Middleton, Lopez, Portis, and Beasley. Shane, the Celtics cannot match that. I've got some doubts about whether Jaylen Brown can play in the playoffs at a high level. He can't even dribble in the playoffs in the playoffs. So I don't know what we really expect from him going forward. And I still think up front that lineup's not strong enough, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I like what the Bucks have done. There's no doubt about it. They are going to be unbelievably strong. But I like Boston. I mean, you talk about them being able to match up with the Bucks. How are the Bucks going to match up with Boston? I think when you look at Porzingis, I think if he stays healthy, which there are some doubts about, but I think Holiday's the perfect guy to come into that lineup because he's a great defender, he can distribute the ball, he's a big, strong guard that will make their team better and allow Tatum to do what he does. Brown, I think, will be better with him there. And White is underrated. I just think they've got strength. I think they'll be difficult to play against. I think they'll come through when it counts. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a great matchup. And another thing's for sure, what about Miami? Talk about being asleep at the wheel. They had everything in their court. Did old man go to sleep again?
No. Look, I don't know what happened. I think Portland was just really annoyed by Lillard's insistence that he go to Miami. And I think Portland, they couldn't hold on to him eventually. Like, they had to move him. But I think to get some benefit and some satisfaction out of it, they were like, you know what? We're not going to send you to Miami where you can live it up and perhaps win a championship. We'll send you to Milwaukee. You still might win a championship, but you're not going to be chilling at the clubs and on the beach in Miami every weekend. But, Shane, I also like your point, though, about Porzingis. He's the key here. And one of the big problems that the Celtics would have in a matchup against Milwaukee is who's going to guard Giannis. And I think Miami have an advantage because they can put Adebayo up on Giannis, and he does a respectable job. But if the Celtics don't have any frontline help, Horford is far too old. That's unreasonable to ask him to try and guard Giannis. And Porzingis, he had probably his best season in the NBA last year, but he was healthy. But already he's had surgery this offseason. Man, it's up in the air. But, Boston.
Derek, it's going to cut you off because it's going to be fascinating to watch. The season will start. We're into preseason. One season that has started, though. Gentlemen, I need your NBL thoughts. So jump off Milwaukee for a sec and tell us your way too early prediction. Round one done and dusted. Who's going to be there at the business end of the season this year in the NBL?
Well, all I'm going to give you for the starters, I'm not going to give you who's going to win it, but there's 5 teams that can win it. Only 5 teams can win it. It's half the league. So last week, I couldn't tell you this. After 1 week, I've got rid of 5 teams. All right, I got 5. New Zealand are tough. New Zealand are going to be really good. Both Melbourne teams have proven they've got depth and quality. They're going to be a chance. We've spoken about Sydney. They've won the last 2 championships, got quality, and Perth. So there's 5 teams. I'm not going to give any more than that. Who you got, D?
Wait a minute. You've ruled out Tasmania for the 3rd year in a row?
Yeah, I have. and for the first 2 years I ruled them out, they didn't win either.
Yeah, but they're one of the top 5 teams. I agree with you about Perth. I agree with you about Melbourne United. I agree with you about New Zealand. I'm going to put Tasmania in there, and I'm not sure about the Phoenix Hammer. I just don't know how this looks. If they can play and put that lineup out there like they had on Sunday when they just destroyed Perth, I'm with you. Yeah. But if Sauce comes back and they change things around, I don't know how that goes. And let me tell you something, Hammer. Let me present something else. Everyone's talking about Cook leaving the lineup and Sauce coming back in. What if you kept both of them and got rid of one of the 2 guards?
No.
You think
bad.
Saucy thoughts there from Derry Rucker. Coming in hot. His first show of the season. That's all we've got time for on Points Made. That's all we've got time for on the Basketball Show. Big thank you to our friends at Code, Boost Mobile, and the Throwback Store. Shout out to Matt Logue, Derek Rucker, Shane Hill. I'm Nathan Strimple. We'll see you all again next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.